Welcome to the Rad Dad Redemption Podcast. Here's your hosts, Drew and Dex.
All right, it's the episode everyone's been waiting for.
You have been dying to hear this episode, folks. Rad Dad listeners. Rad Dad Nation.
Rad Dad Nation.
Yeah. Can we do that? What are our listeners? Are they the nation?
I feel like that's pretty... I feel like that's pretty derivative. Like there's like Oilers Nation, Flames Nation, and Rad Dad Nation.
Yeah, we get a lot of sympathy listens.
There's also the Aryan Nation.
Welcome back, guys. Yeah, yesterday was a really important day for the crew. Happy 420, everybody.
Yeah.
What'd you do for 420?
I did nothing. I don't sell it. We were just talking about that before we got on air, that it's like kind of lame now that it's legal and it's like, it doesn't seem that cool.
It kind of always was lame.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever cool. But it was novel, at least. It was like, ooh, like we're doing something bad.
Yeah, and I think if you put that shoe on any other foot, where it's like, oh, it's happy, whatever the fucking date, Decembuary, and we're just gonna get blackout drunk. I mean, those dates are embedded in the calendar.
Yeah, they're like associated with holidays.
That's like every holiday ever.
Yeah.
But I do remember back in the day, it was a thing. It was like, oh, it's 420. I gotta scrounge up all my bottles. I'm gonna buy so much weed. Smoke some of it and fall asleep.
Yeah, but spend more on food.
But what was the other thing that happened yesterday that you were so stoked about?
I don't remember. I think it was you that was texting about it.
You were saying it was Hitler's birthday.
If we go back in the texts,
so shout out.
The evidence proves that you're the one that brought that up.
Shout out all those listeners. I hope you don't get that following.
There was something for everybody yesterday.
You know what? I'll otherize those people right now. Don't listen to us. I'm sure there's a lot of material out there.
I don't think we were ever at risk of attracting that audience.
What? Why?
I don't know. I just feel like they got limited time in their days, and there's probably a lot of really highly reviewed white supremacy podcasts out there. I don't know.
There's probably some white supremacist podcasts out there that just crush our numbers. Actually, scratch that.
There's a lot of just podcasts in general.
Yeah.
Do way better than we do.
You know what? But actually, let's dig into that. Let's get off this whole like Aryan race opener, which is not ideal, and let's talk about the numbers, because we just came off our first episode where we actually had a guest.
Yeah,
and the whole idea behind it was not only improving the level of content and actually giving people something they wanted to listen to, but a very organic growth in the sense that, hey, you're someone who people follow. Come onto our show. We'll do our thing, you do your thing, and we're going to reach more. And it absolutely worked.
Oh yeah. We had huge numbers.
We really did.
Episode.
Yeah, and that's exciting. So actually, except for all the Aryans out there, I do want to say thanks to our listeners, because that was hype, and we really appreciate it. It made us excited, invigorated. I feel like this is the move going forward. We have to bring people on that don't just do what we do. Fat guy basement talk. So proof is in the pudding. That was a marquee episode. So thanks to everyone who listened.
Yeah. And if you haven't listened, go back, because and the feedback that I kept getting, like from my wife and from other people who hadn't listened before, was like, that was an incredible episode, because Kelsey had so much good information. She was really natural. Like, she was very personable. It wasn't like she was there and she was like, hi, I am so happy to be, like, she wasn't robotic. She felt like she fit right into the show. It was a really good episode, if I may say so myself.
Well, and once we unpacked our bag of like how we've been living our lives, there was some genuine care there. She's like, I'm worried about these people. I'm not sure they're living their lives the best way. And so there was some actual care and compassion. And so Kelsey was so fantastic. Thank you so much, Kelsey. If you're actually coming back on and listening, you probably already turned it off, but we had a great time. And thanks for everyone that got involved. And we're going to continue doing that. In fucking fact.
We do love burying the lead when we have somebody here.
What does that mean? You say bury the lead all the time. What does that mean?
Like, you take the lead is like the biggest part of the story. That's like the capturing part of the news article or the whatever, right?
It's the headline.
It should be at the top of your story. You don't want to bury it and like have the most exciting part halfway through your story.
I guarantee you, we have some exciting stuff to talk about.
We do have a lot.
So we're not burying shit. But I just thought it was a natural segue, because here we are again with his crop of followers, we have another guest. Ladies and gentlemen, my big brother, Joe Hoover, has arrived on the show. Welcome, Joe.
What's up?
he was like, when are they going to be fucking done talking? I have this great bit.
Yeah. He's been holding that tab for some time.
It's warm now.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's warm because we've just thoroughly exercised to an extreme degree. And you were all a part of that. And you know what? Let's get right into it. We had our Rad Dad Fitness Combine moments ago, hours ago in Strathmore.
Yep.
The Metropolitan Center, the
cultural hub of Alberta.
The cultural hub of Alberta. Strathmore, known for such things as...
they have a nice golf course.
They got a nice golf course.
You have a rodeo, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually,
like the running of
the
the
rodeo
bulls is,
grounds
like,
are
pretty big.
Yeah, the rodeo grounds are right behind the high school.
They got a disc golf course. They have a Boston's Pizza.
Yeah, and we patronized the Boston Pizza today.
Absolutely. I also feel like this could be like a Rad Dad fact check, but they definitely are one of those places where when it's like the oyster fry, the prairie oyster, like guys out in Strathmore, girls out in Strathmore,
I believe that.
they are eating testicles.
I believe it's their number one source of protein.
I think it's their number one export. It's big business.
They could like put a dome over their town in an apocalypse and just survive off
Oh,
prairie
yeah.
oysters.
Just on their reserve of cow balls. So that was really cool to get out there and see the sights.
Yeah, I have not been there enough yet this year, for sure.
I've been there enough for a couple of years, actually. Honestly, we decided on Strathmore. It wasn't just destination tourism where we wanted to go see the province and go check out, these beautiful places, the buttholes of Alberta. We're not going up to Grand Prairie. But our good friend Daryl, he actually had the hookup for our venue, and we'll shout him out a couple times in the episode because he did such a fantastic job.
He did so good.
Yeah, so we
Like,
went out
exceeded
there.
my expectations.
He did well at everything.
Literally.
And even just like setting up the event.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to Alicia and she's like, when are you guys starting? And I was like, well, we'll probably get there like whatever for 9 o'clock or whatever. And then it'll probably be like an hour for us to figure out what we're doing. And like Daryl was like on it. Like he had it all prepped, ready to go.
He had an idea of where and when, obviously, to hold the events. But in their gymnasium there, they had, and this is common now, it's a thing, they put money into the giant screen, the Jumbotron light, if you will, at some of these high schools. And he went over the top, and you'll see this if you get onto our socials. We're going to post a whole bunch because obviously this is a hand-in-hand audio and visual media combo that we're going to provide for you. But we had our logo up.
Yep.
You could like see everything Rad Dad. It was so fucking fantastic.
Yeah, it was super cool.
So shout out Strathmore. Keep doing what you're doing. And shout out Daryl.
Good luck with the cowball harvest.
Yeah, you guys are going to do great. There's 2 for each one.
I don't know. I mean, if Daryl's putting those back, and I saw some like his activities there, like he was performing pretty well. I'm like, maybe I would try those. I don't know.
They've got to be just literally.
Just little pouches of testosterone.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you're definitely not supplementing with some like TRT later. Like you're just eating like straight balls.
Is there a business there if you're like going out, gonna hit the course or do whatever on the weekend, and you're like, I'm gonna stop at Circle K, grab some shit, some Doritos, a couple primes, and you're like, oh, dried cow testes, like little jerky bags.
Yeah, well, I've seen you on a road trip buy like the single pickle or like one pickled egg. And I'm like, you're buying that? Like that, you're gonna trust that from like some random town in Washington? So maybe that does exist there at like the Petro, that they just have like pre-rolled the equivalent of that.
Cards on the table, you see that packaging. Like there's like big links, there's Slim Jims, snap into one. And then there's like, I got a bag of dried cow testes. Okay, but it's not marketed like that. They're called like Power Balls. So it's a bag of Power Balls, and it's like, this shit is 500 grams protein, and it's like also 1,000,000 milligrams of cow semen, which equates to like, I don't know how you measure testosterone.
That's basically taurine though, right?
Is that what that is?
I don't know.
I think taurine is from a cow's heart.
Okay, ranch
You could
guy.
easily convince me it's the latter though.
Would you buy cow hearts in a bag or cow testes? Go.
Like, are those the only 2 options at Circle K?
That's
Because
the only-
you brought up like Slim Jims and stuff, and like I would probably go those roads.
No, you go to a store and that's all they sell.
Hearts and testes.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, because I've never had cow heart and I know cow testy. I'm going testes.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they taste fine. It's whatever.
So look out for that. We're still working on the
More Rad Dad merch.
yeah, we're looking on the distribution and also the production and manufacturing. But one of these days, you'll be able to go to a store and buy Rad Dad cow testicles dried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice little Cajun seasoning on them. Ooh. What seasoning would you put on
dill pickle?
I was going to say dill pickle. Dill pickle would be good.
100%. Like Spitz. Like I'm not even going to eat them. I'm going to like do a couple chews and I'm going to pack them in my upper lip and just let the cow testosterone slowly seep out into my veins.
It's like a cow ball zin.
Yeah, hell yeah. So Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Wait, would you do the heart or the balls?
Oh yeah.
Honestly, I think I'd go balls. I mean, anytime I've tried any sort of like gizzard or anything like that, it's terrible. So how could it be worse, honestly?
They taste like chicken nuggets, honestly.
I'll try not to do this too much in the show, but being related to this man, we have like a common history, as you might imagine. And our dad hunting back in the day, that was always like a rite of passage, is like whatever you shoot on the day of, you get back and we're going to like cook something from the inside. Not like a steak, no tenderloin, no. It's like you're going to eat the liver, you're going to eat the heart, and it's like a very like visceral, like I just freshly killed you, and now I'm going to eat your uckiest parts.
That's some warrior shit.
That's domination. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, just like packs of testes up in our lips and just like, dude. So I'm into it. I wouldn't hesitate.
You do the heart?
Oh, I was talking about testicles in my mouth.
Oh,
I would eat. The heart. I don't know. I'd have to see. Since we started this challenge, since we actually began the January resolution, which we learned on the last episode is a very terrible way to frame your exercise and health. You know, I'm looking for any edge, so I'd want to see like the back of the pack. You know, how much sodium are in these testes?
well,
It's got to be grass fed.
I want like a special packaging that also has a eye mask, like a sleep mask that comes with it that I can like. I don't want to look at it. Like I don't want to see veins before I taste it.
Oh, and it's like leather. It's like the scrotum.
Yeah, sure. I'm just like a bat wing that I pull over my eyes before I chew into this thing.
Oh my god, it's like the cereal boxes.
It's like a 3-part packaging. I need like whatever kind of like flavor dust I'm going to put on it, and the nut, and then my like leather bat wing over my eyes, so I don't have to see it.
Okay, it just popped in my brain. You remember? You get the what's the candy? What's the name of the candy?
Fun Dip.
Yeah, and you get the fucking stick, and you're like, oh, a little cherry, you know? Like, you know, that's how you eat your dried Strathmore cow testicles. Is you pull them out, and they're just like dried, whatever, action packed, and then you're like, ooh, a little dill pickle one, oh, spicy, a little salt and vinegar, and then
What if it was dried out and like cut, sliced, like it was like chips?
testy chips?
Yeah.
Oh, and you crisp them up.
I'm going to put a pause because I feel like we're giving away all of our best business ideas.
Yeah, please, trademark. That's ours. Don't do that. If you're sitting there right now being like, I am going to get some testicles and chop them up into crispy little circles and market them, that's our idea, okay?
Back off.
Yeah, back off. So, Joe, my brother, man. It was so great to see you today out at the Combine.
Thank you.
And we're going to get into all of that in rich detail, of course. But I was impressed at your physical ability.
Yeah?
Coming out the gate, there was a little bit of me being like so much larger than you, which is just like, you know, mass. I was like, I think I'm going to win some of these events. And like I said, we're going to unpack them all. But everything you did today was really impressive. And so I did have a question for you. I thought it'd be a cool way to start. Like, when did you get into fitness? When did you start getting yoked? And like, honestly,
I mean, thank you. I don't really think of myself that way. Like, I just try to be active.
Well, Dex and I are specimens, and you put us to shame.
Yeah. You got me into it, right? Like, you were working at Dexter's Elite Performance.
Dexter's Elite.
And you were really into it. And then I came home. I had done a semester of school in Toronto. I came home, and you were like so into it. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. And then we got into it. That was our thing for a while. And then I moved away again. And when I moved away, that was like one of the few hobbies I could afford. Like, I could get a cheap gym membership and keep myself busy. And it's kind of funny because I feel like as time goes by, like, you're always learning things. You're always getting better at things. You have new interests. Like, you do kind of evolve. Like, every 5 years, you find something different. So I don't do now what I did when we used to work out. I don't do now what I did 10 years ago. But I mean, I've just been consistently trying to stay active for like a long time now. Like, we started working out together 2007.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I haven't really had like massive breaks in there, like a small injury here or there, a month off for something, but like that's like one of my main hobbies. I always go.
So you're not the moment in time guy. You're the like, I like this. I'll continue to do this, and have done since then.
And I think like Kelsey kind of spoke to that last week, right? Like ideally you're just like stacking small wins, and so I don't think that I'm like necessarily elite or great at anything. I think the one thing that I do that a lot of people don't do is that I just keep doing it, right? Like I'm constantly going, so there's no major setbacks.
Consistency is key. It's really funny to actually think back to those Dexter's Elite days, because obviously that was like, our formative years. But going into that gym, that was a gym, and I don't know if this is like the era of working out, but it was beefcake. We weren't, there was no CrossFit. CrossFit wasn't a thing. Cardio wasn't a thing. We weren't running. It was like, let's lift as heavy as we can, as long as we can, and then let's go make like the filthiest protein shake you've ever fucking seen.
Oh yeah, well, like we would drink a full like massive Zenergy. Remember, we drank so many.
We had a Zenergy cooler.
Well, we were like importing them from the States because we couldn't get enough of them. We wanted more flavors. That was when they were the big like title sponsor for UFC. So we were drinking tons of those.
Tito Ortiz, Ken Shamrock,
and we were like, everything was like 3 sets of 8. It was like you were barely able to get that weight done. Like you were not actually doing a lot of work. It was like big breaks, no supersets, no moving quickly to anything. It was just like, how much can you lift at stuff?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. And some of that stuff really worked and we progressed. And some of that stuff I still kind of do. We used to joke, remember? You would like find an old muscle mag sitting at the gym and it'd be like, inside the secret to unlocking giant biceps. And you'd like flip through like, oh, it's on. You'd get to that page like bicep curls. Oh, okay. Oh, hell yeah. Okay. So they feel like you can make fun of some of the stuff we used to do back then, and it's still some of the same things that I do now anyway, because you're not like reinventing the wheel.
Yeah, fair enough.
And Dexter's, like, I used to work out there with, I think my trainer back then was Scott.
These are 2 different Dexters. We should clarify. This wasn't your place.
Yeah, no, not my gym.
He's not a Dexter. He's a legal Dex.
I know.
Much in the same way I'm a legal Drew. Fuck every Andy out there and Andrew out there trying to claim Drew status.
It takes the back half of their name anyway, though. Right?
Honestly, I'm just saying. Original.
I think it was Scott, like the redheaded guy.
Potentially.
Yeah. He was training me when I played high level soccer.
Oh,
ding, 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 ding.
There's one.
But he was training me, and I felt like a lot of that was transferable to the sport that I was playing at the time. But it was very much like a bodybuilding gym. Like it was like you're here
definitely
to get big, and it was definitely different than you go to, like you guys said, CrossFit's blown up, and that's not so much bodybuilding. That's like I guess applicable fitness, like movement.
Yeah, I think
that's the whole thing.
Call it functional, right?
Functional.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
There was some stuff at Dexter's back in the day. Like he had some machines there that I've never seen anywhere else, and
it was unique.
It'd be cool to try them again. But
I think back to that time. It was such an interesting time in my life and in all of our lives who worked out there. Our buddy Sean was like the other desk guy, and it was kind of a dream job. I actually had a really good job at the Ford dealership and another really good job at 79, the like private fine dining in Okotoks. And I worked at Dexter's Elite Performance for like no money because it was just such a fun position. And all we ever did was just go in and work out. And it's funny to reflect on it because I had never really got in like crazy good shape. But I really was horrible at my job. Like I was like a really bad employee. There are so many times. There was one time I remember I was like in the back room doing squats, and Andrew Dexter, not a real Drew, came back and was like, "Hey Drew, can I talk to you?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's up? I'm just in between sets." And he's like, "Cool, that's great. You're on shift, and the last 3 people that walked in have had expired memberships." And I was like, "And?" And he's like, "Well, that's your literal position here, is to like keep the gate and make sure the people who are coming here are actually paying to come here." And I was like, "Oh my God, what a ball buster, this fucking guy." We used to get, you're talking about whether Scott trained there or not. I don't know. That was the Big Bear era. That was the fucking, that was Colt 45, Edward 40 Hands era. we used to get so rinsed on Saturday night that the gym was only open from 9 to 3 on Sundays. And on more than one occasion, I just wouldn't open the gym and just like pray that Dex would not come into the gym that day. So you'd have like patrons coming to the front door. Shout out Andrew if you're listening. Thanks for the job. Love you, buddy. Great guy. There's like patrons coming to the gym to be like, oh, I'm here to work out. Oh, it's closed. And the sign says it's open. And I'm like in my fucking bedroom sleeping. No one will know. No one will know. Great times.
But, okay, should we get back to the combine?
Fuck yes. I want to know. I want to keep it on training. I want to know what you did, Joseph, to prepare for the Rad Dad Combine.
Not a lot. It was pretty funny.
Fuck off.
Well, I had an injury last summer that I was training through, and then I finally was like, I need to stop running. This is not getting any better. So I didn't run for a few months, and then I was on a patio. You phoned me on St. Patrick's Day, and I was out having beers, and you're like, we're doing this combine and we want you to come take part. And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. And then I hung up. I'm like, oh man, I got to start like working out again. And yeah, I've had this like, I guess persona that you guys have had that you're like, yeah, I know you run, you do this. And I was like, at the time I was like, nope. So the biggest thing is I just started again, I guess. I started running again this week, actually. I mean, I was still working out. I was trying to like work through some stuff. I guess that's another thing, speaking to like consistency, is like even through injuries, I try to do something. But
Keep moving.
There wasn't a lot that I did specifically for this. I ran a couple times, so I kind of knew how my cardio was. I didn't think it was good, but I'm like, I know when I'll hit the wall kind of thing.
You knew it was better than ours.
I didn't know that, actually. Honestly, I didn't. I mean, the events you picked were like I don't do any of them, right? Other than bench press. The other ones, I was like, why would I ever just do a 40-yard dash or whatever the other things were? How am I going to get good at those? And I wasn't going to go to the local school and run on the track by myself.
Intentionally, right? We wanted to keep it like diverse, especially for Dex and I in competing against one another. It's like, okay, let's not give anyone an edge. We actually had a rule, and we were trying to, because we were like, oh, we'll do NFL Combine. We looked at the NFL Combine. We're like, nah, let's change it up a bit.
Can't do all of that.
Can't do all that. But then the rule was, if there's any single event that either of us are like, that's so one-sided, you know?
Right.
Like if it's like, okay, this event, one of you gets in goal, the other is a high-level soccer player, and you just have to stop
Like
as
in
many.
competitive soccer?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So we said we had a veto, and so we talked about it, and we landed on what we think, and we'll get there, a very fair measure of fitness.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we fucking trained our asses off, admittedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and looking back, I think you probably trained harder than I did. And I feel like it shows in like your body composition and your weight loss. Like you put more effort into it, I want to say, than I did.
I did get down. So if you remember, listeners, I think I said at the time I was 250 and my goal was 230. And I've been as low as 237. Today on the health-o-meter at Strathmore High School, I rang in at 242, but I very comfortably lost like 20, 25 pounds.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm motivated. It's funny that we did this combine. It feels like the end point, and we'll talk about this more, but it's very much like, especially after hanging out with Kelsey and having that conversation about like our lives and our longevity, it feels like the beginning of something, 100%.
Yeah. And I will say, like, for me, it's since playing like high school sports and stuff like that, it's been the most fun that I've had actually working out.
Yeah.
Like any other time that I've done it, again, to go back to like what Kelsey said, it was for a moment in time. Like it was my wedding. That was the best shape I've been in since high school. And any other time I've tried to get in shape, it's really just been like, well, I feel like I'm fat and I don't want to be like that. But that's not a great motivator.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, I don't want to be like this. But it's like, I also love pizza.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing though, is like people will struggle, say they struggle with motivation, they say, or they struggle to find motivation. And like, you don't get motivated to work out. Like I know you talked about on an earlier podcast about working out in the morning and not liking it. Like nobody likes to run first thing in the morning or work out in the morning.
It's miserable.
Most people don't like to do anything in the morning. Like even when I get excited to go fishing, when I have to get up at 4:30 in the morning, I don't roll out of bed like, fuck yes. It's like, I have a coffee, I get going, we're on the road. I'm like, yeah, we're going to haul today. Like motivation follows discipline. So like you guys are both more motivated now because you did it.
Yeah,
right?
fair
Like,
enough.
So like you stack those wins and then you feel good after. Like that's even you today, like that's when you're more motivated to eat better or drink less or sleep, whatever, right? Because you're stoked you just did it. But you don't wake up in the morning and be like, today's the day to run. Like that's few and far between. Like you have to just get up and go and then you feel good after.
Quick aside, you said fishing. I will set my alarm for 4:15 and I will be up at 3:45. I'm like
I do that for golf.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like
I love golf. Yeah, but try and get me up to go to work for 9 o'clock. Absolutely not. Impossible.
I can't even sleep the night before. I'm like, and you must feel the same way. Like, oh, like, because you were just down in Arizona,
Yeah.
and you got to play a bucket list course,
Yeah.
and like that whole night leading up to it, and
I was stoked the whole day before. I was getting in the zone. I was ready.
the boys are drinking, and you're like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a huge round tomorrow at this course.
Yeah.
And probably all night. Like,
And I also paid a lot of money for it.
yeah. I made that mistake on the last Invermere boys trip. We played that really nice course out in, well, I guess it was Invermere. I don't fucking remember because I was so loaded. And we paid all this money and we got out there and it was our second 18 of the day. And I don't remember much of it. And I golfed like a 140. And I did have the next day driving home in my like self-pity. I was like, I think I'm older than that now. Like I had that moment. I was like, I don't think I like that. There was a bit of a reflection there. I was like, this was an important course to play. It was a beautiful course, and I totally botched it. And that felt good. Even after, though I did it, I was like, oh, I don't need to do that anymore.
You need to make some mistakes to have like a true realization.
Yeah, that was an
like a
important
long
thing.
drive with some anxiety
Yeah.
on the way home.
Oh my goodness, full traffic.
But like, so the day after I got back from Arizona, well, I got back like the Tuesday night, and then 6:15 Wednesday morning, Kelsey brought us out to F45, and we did. And everybody said Wednesday is the worst day to go.
Everyone, they're talking it up. Everyone, like I had several messages being like, "Are you sure?
Are you sure you're going to do that?
Are you sure?"
Yeah. But we went, and it was a super good workout, especially for me. I mean, I'd be gone for 5 days, and I didn't work out while I was gone. Unless you're counting like bicep curls as I like bring
Right
the
hand.
seltzer to my mouth. So I hadn't worked out, so that was a good way to like sweat out some of that excess hot dog grease and alcohol. And it was a hard workout, like. And I started too hard. Everybody's like, pace yourself. And I was like, I'm no bitch. And then I proved I was a bitch.
They really welcomed us. Honestly,
They everybody was so nice and so welcoming. And like
they did a Rad Dad chant at the end of the workout. We were
Shut
like,
up.
no. Oh yeah. We were like, no way. We literally don't deserve this.
we were literally the two worst performers in this entire room. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a hard workout.
It was super hard.
I feel like I handled it well, but I definitely was doing the look around to see what was going on. And your wife was there, and our buddy Boucher's wife was there, Tiffany. She's been working super hard. And like Auntie Becky was there. Obviously, Kelsey was coaching us through stuff. Like they are moving.
Oh yeah. I gained a new appreciation. Like I knew my wife was working out hard. I've seen her going through this process since like, let's call it October or September maybe. And she, like, I've seen the progression in her, and I know they're hard workouts. Like you don't go to F45 to, do tiddlywinks. Like you're going to work out hard. Right. So, but I gained a new appreciation for like how hard they work out when I was like, you and I were both, when we did those sliders with the mountain climbers,
What the fuck?
we would finish our set. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to do the 10 and then the 2 and then start it again.
and then begin again.
And we would do the 10 and the 2 and then lay down and try and just like catch our breath. And I would look up and I would see, the three were Becky, Tiff, and Alicia were all working out together, and they were just killing it. And I'm just like looking up, and I had a new appreciation for like how hard they've been working out.
Oh yeah, that's Dexter's Elite. Like I did my set. I don't care that there's a
This is
timer.
an energy drink break. What are you guys doing? We need to go put more chalk on.
Oh, I had to laugh at that because Joe, you actually work with Dex's wife, and I was kind of excited. I called Joe, and I was like, "Hey, did you hear we went to F45?" And Joe's like, "Yeah, I saw your reel. I saw your reel post." And I was like, "Yeah, it was crazy. Like, did Alicia say anything?" And the post was us of doing the fucking the jumpies.
Yeah.
And I guess what Alicia said was like, they're supposed to be running.
Yeah, you're supposed to be running around and doing the jump again, and we were like walking.
Yeah, I
was
tried to like just
toast.
look across the table to her. We were at work, and I was like, yeah, I watched it. And then she just looks right at me. She's like, they're supposed to be running. And I couldn't hide it. I'm like, she says, and I didn't do anything.
I said to Joe, I was like, is she in the car with you? He's like, yes, she's sitting right beside me. Because I was on the tip of my toe. I was like, fuck that. We worked so hard. There was a moment, I can't remember what station. It must have been the slider station. And I was gassed, and it was tough, 100%. But because we're in competition, because we've been doing this together, selfishly, I was like, I just hope Dex is more gassed than me.
You guys would get there though. Like you both had your moments today that I was like, oh, they are like Dex and the one. I was like, he is moving. And then, I mean, that's kind of like you went into their house, right? Like, they live there. They do that stuff. I mean, I go to spin with my wife and she demolishes me. Like she grabs the heaviest weights they have. And I'm like, what else do they have? Oh, I skip them sometimes. I'm like, I don't want to do that. And she's just like, she goes to another class after. And I'm like, I'll see you at home.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. That's what Dex is saying. New appreciation, 100%.
For sure.
Megan is there. She goes to the 5:15 class.
Yuck.
Like, get real. Get real. There's not even fishing. Not a fucking chance. So, like, yes, our wives are killing it. But there was a moment I looked over at Dex and he finally, it's not that you cracked, but you just, were friends. And he was like, I'm fucking dying. And I was like, yeah, okay, me too. Good. Thank you. Because I was going to look over at you and you're like, this is great. And I was going to be like, I'm in trouble. I'm in big trouble.
And speaking of new appreciation, so Kelsey talked about, she does her group fitness classes at Good Life as well. And so on Friday, just this past Friday, my day got kind of thrown for a loop. I had a last minute meeting get scheduled, so I couldn't make it out to the gym as I had planned. But then the meeting ended sooner. And I was just kind of like, I couldn't get my head straight to be like, okay, what work am I doing? Like my trainer loads it into my phone and stuff. And so I was just like, I'm just going to go on the Good Life app and book one of Kelsey's classes. And she was doing yoga flow in 20 minutes. And so I was like, okay, I'll try it, because she talked about it on the class. She's like, we'll get you in, do some yoga, do some stretching. And I went in knowing I'm not going to be flexible. I'm not going to be good at this. I haven't done yoga since probably university. And it's yoga flow. So it's kind of like pretty quick movements between, there's some crunch aspects, like there's some actual workout aspects in addition to the yoga stretches. I was so fucking bad at it. Like so unbelievably bad at it. I was like, my body cannot bend in any way, shape, or form. And I'm still feeling it today. Like I feel it in my hips and stuff.
Just trying not to fart that amount of time, just trying not to be the guy.
Oh, I had to make sure I had my coffee and my poop before I went, because I would have been,
Yeah, we just went recently too, and I just can't deal with the constant just like like everyone's just releasing their demons. I'm like, I will be short of breath and keep this to myself. I'm not breathing like that in public. I don't care how dim the lights are.
My demons come out of my butt is the thing. Like my breathing's fine, but as you're like, oh man. All right. Well, I feel like we should get into it. So we competed in the combine today, and it was, I think, surprising. I was surprised. And in a great way. Like, I think my successes, I felt great about them. If I may, I'm going to say this, and how do I say this not like a dickhead? I underestimated you. I really did.
Oh, okay.
I definitely was like, I have been training since I was 17, although I'm a fat piece of shit and I've let myself go, self-deprecating. But it's the truth. We've talked about this endlessly. Yeah, you have kids. Oh, you get a job. Oh, things become tough. And it's not a priority for me. But I really did feel like, I was like, we're going to get back into it. We're going to kind of start this. And once I get it, once I'm where I was, like, it's over. I am going to absolutely annihilate Dex. And the two biggest underestimations were, like, first and foremost, you did amazing.
Thanks,
like, you've clearly put in a ton of work. Super impressive. And then just like being older, being like fucking 35-year-old guys, it doesn't come like it used to. Not even close.
No. And we talked about that on the drive out, where it was like, we need to keep this going. And I was like, if nothing else, because it's going to be every time you get out of it and try and get back into it, it's going to be exponentially harder. Like it's not linear, it's exponentially harder.
Yeah.
Right. I think about how in shape I got for my wedding, and not that it was easy, But like,
It was easier than this.
it was easier than this. I watched my diet a little bit, and I went to Good Life, and I just kind of fucked around. I was like, oh, I'll ride the bike, and then I'll do this, and I'll do that. And this is like, I've been very focused, and I've had less success, or it's taken longer, right? So, yeah. So it's like, it's kind of like, I don't want to give it up now because I think I'm getting an understanding of if I do give it up, I decide to try again in 2 years, it's going to be 10 times harder.
Yeah. And you also have a little bit more value in what you've accomplished up to this point.
Yeah.
Right. We talked about our dude Wade, and like in your 20s, there's like an inherent physical ability. There really is.
Yeah.
And we were talking about his football pool and the last place, the Sacco. Am I saying that right? The league? Yeah. Whoever lost had to run a half marathon. And years ago, he lost, whatever. He just off the couch was like, okay. And like, it was greasy. It was yucky. I think his time was 2.5 hours. He said he did it with like one of those beer sashes. What do you call it? You knew the name?
Bandolier.
The bandolier. And he was like, every 5K, like stop and like, get greased up a bit. But he ran that race. If I had not engaged in any of the training that, was incumbent after agreeing to this challenge and tried to run a half marathon, I literally might have died.
This would be a memorial episode.
Yeah. In memoriam, his heart exploded, and then we ate it, and his testicles.
Speaking of eating it, before the combine even started, I ate it.
Oh my God.
This is going to be up on our socials, this video.
I guarantee if we've ever had a viral hit, we've had some traction on a couple odd ones. Sometimes we post something and we're like, whatever, it's funny. And then every now and then it we'll say blows up within the context of like our numbers.
Yeah, our audience, yeah.
And it's always surprising to us, like, oh, that was the one, hot talk or car talk for hot car guys.
Yeah.
We had like a little back and forth about my car being sold to a criminal, and for whatever reason, we just reached a ton of people, and it was a thing. This clip that I will post, not only
I'm so glad we got it on video.
this clip that I will not only post like in preparation, like to really build this episode up, but I will continue to post for the rest of my life.
The video is honestly so good that it looked like a setup.
Not when you see him fall. When you
Like, because you were like, it wasn't like, oh, I happened to be filming. You were like, wait, I'm going to start filming. And then, yeah.
Oh my
you
God.
almost quite literally walked into the joke of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so we were throwing the Frisbee back and forth, and I'm terrible at throwing.
Our warm-up. That
was our warm-up.
These guys
yeah.
are doing high knees.
We're throwing the Frisbee in the gym.
Frisbee.
And I couldn't throw, but I was making some nice catches. And you were like, oh, I'm gonna film one for the Rad Dad page of us warming up. I'm using some heavy air quotes there with the Frisbee toss. And you threw me, what is a hospital pass? You
It
sent
wasn't a great throw.
You sent it, and it was turning, but I was so focused because you were filming. I was like, I gotta catch this. This is
I'm
for the
not
Rad.
dropping this.
I'm not dropping this.
OBJ.
And so I'm headed, and I'm locked in on this Frisbee, and it enters my hand, and my body immediately stops because I hit the fucking bleachers of the gym and flipped over the front row.
Oh, I am going to post this and bastardize this. Like, it is going to be.
And I left behind a really good layer of skin, like all the way down my shin.
It's a
like-
good one. I'm staring at it right
You're
now.
injured. You're injured.
Oh, yeah.
Like
You
if
sacrifice the body.
a stranger asked, I would say that's like a 8 to 10 inch line down your shin. Like
Oh,
my
yeah.
wife would say it's shorter, but that's a pretty good. That's a pretty good cut on
I
the
think
leg.
it's a 12-inch cut.
Yeah, that's a huge, satisfying cut.
That's
But yeah,
girthy.
so it was. That's how we started. We didn't even do one event, and it was funny. We were
Yeah, I was like, is he out? Is that it?
There was a minute
Oh yeah.
when right when it happened, I was just dying laughing. Bad friend. I was like, he's hurt.
You were
but
laying on the gym floor.
I was hitting.
You looked more hurt than Dex.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how funny that was. And then it popped in my head. I was like, did we just ruin the combine? Like, are we immediately going to Strathmore Hospital? Which I'm
there a
assuming
Strathmore Hospital?
Which I'm assuming they have. It's a
Well,
rodeo.
like a-
You just go
urgent
wherever
care
they take
clinic?
the bull's nuts out and
Yeah. They go to
stitch it up there.
They go to the vet.
but yeah, and I was laying there. I lay there for, I don't know, it felt like an eternity, but it was probably only like 5 seconds. But I had to do it like a quick check of my body because I knew my body hurt, and my leg really hurt. But I was like, am I okay? Like, is everything okay? Because I hit fucking hard. I was running hard, and I 235 pounds of me went through those bleachers. Like,
well, it's to amp up our listeners. So, unlike me underestimating Dex, I cannot overestimate the satisfaction you are all going to get when you see this live video of Dex absolutely wholesaling catching a frisbee. It's legend.
Yeah, get your hopes up.
When you showed Alicia, I immediately saw in her eyes it was her new favorite video. Like, she was like, "This is all my favorite things: my husband getting hurt, embarrassing himself."
Oh yeah, it's great. So it's gold. And then we got into the combine, and I think that's a good segue. I like calling my segues. Bury the lead. Here's a great segue. Let's get into it. Let's get into the competition. We'll stop blue balling you, and then we'll talk about the results, what happened. But we get there. Our buddy Daryl, he's done a fantastic job, like we said. He's thought about it. He's planned things out in a sequence that is conducive to potentially our peak performance, which was kind of nice too, because it kept it kind of like we had no idea. We'd selected the events, but I think when we all drove out to Strathmore, it's like, I really don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're just going here, and we'll, like, in my mind, I was like, let's do bench press first so I can get a little confidence, and more on that later. And then he was like, no, we'll do blah, 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 and then we'll go here, blah, 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 blah. And it was so excellent. But our first event that we competed in was the T drill.
Yeah.
Where we're going to do our first ever Rad Dads YouTube video. We're actually going to post on our Rad Dad account. We don't do YouTube. It's not a thing.
No.
But we're going to post it just in case anyone really wants to see like everything that went on. We get into the T drill. Daryl gives us a fantastic exemplar. He actually does it for us. He's a specimen. And we just kind of hit the ground running. So let's break down the T drill. Yeah. So let's talk about how you guys felt. Potentially, do you think you could have done better? What did you feel doing it? And then obviously the results. So Dex takes away. What was the T drill like?
Yeah, so that was forward run, touch the cone, sideways to the other cone, all the way across to the third cone, back to the middle cone, and then run backwards through your starting point. And I felt confident. That was one of the ones I felt more confident about because, again, speed and agility were probably my two strengths. Now,
why were they your strengths?
I was like biting my tongue over here.
It's because I participated in sporting as a child. No, but I felt like that was going to be my thing. It was speed and agility, and not to make excuses or anything. I feel like I could have done a little bit better at that one, but moments earlier I'd just run through the bleachers, and I was still like kind of like assessing the pain that I was feeling.
Okay.
And also, it was kind of like our warm up. Like it was yes, we had done a few gentle jogs throughout the gym, but like
Jam and Joe are warming up, and we're playing frisbee.
Yeah. And so kind of went into it a little cold, and I felt like when I was turning on some of those, I was like, oh, I'm not quite hitting that the way that I would expect myself to, but still put up a decent time. What was my final time?
Well, we'll get to that.
Okay,
we'll get to that because we'll do the big reveal on each. Joe, T drill.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you picked a lot of things that I had never even seen that before. I had to Google it, and I feel like if we're going to bury the lead there, I don't know if you mentioned that we had Graham. Like, we did have a fourth participant there.
Did we not talk about cousin
I don't know
Graham?
If we introduced him, but we had Graham there.
Graham was there, yeah.
And Graham's like considerably younger than all of us, and he was like, "Well, when I ran track and when I was in football practice," and I'm like, oh, "Okay, great."
Yeah.
So
he's an athlete.
Yeah, I felt okay about that one, and Daryl. He demoed it, and I wasn't even really watching. And then I see Graham like practicing his backward running, and I'm like, "What are you doing that for?" He's like, "Well, because you have to go backward at the end." And that was the death of me there. I think the straight out side to side, I think I actually did really well, and then running backwards, like that needs some work for sure.
When's the last time you're like, you know what I'm gonna do?
Run backward as quickly as I can.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny is like when I coach the girls soccer. I mean, they're 5 and 6-year-old girls, so they're not that coordinated. But running backwards is like the hardest thing I can make them do. It's just it's a coordination that like most people don't have. And unless you've practiced it, like running backwards is literally counterintuitive to how your body moves. Right. So that's always the one when I'm like, girls run backwards. They're like going sideways and like falling on their butts and stuff. Like it's the hardest thing for them to pick up.
I distinctly remember the first time I got Maren to run backwards. She was chasing me around the kitchen and I turned around backwards and you could just see her eyes light up. She's like, whoa, what's that? Hold on. a new locomotor skill that I have not practiced. And she flipped around and she's giggling. She's like, oh. And she's just like so uncoordinated, like ass over tea kettle immediately. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess it's like a new thing for you.
Yeah.
And apparently new for us. So tea drill, this one really set the stage for Dex and I. And I think it's important to clarify, Cousin Graham, Big Brother Joe, they came out to compete and achieve glory. And as much as they had fantastic success and did some really incredible things out there, they're actually not included in the Rad Dad Combine.
They were our controls. We wanted to see like how well,
Where are we measuring against like a normal human?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so actually I felt a little bad about that driving back because we talked endlessly about like how we did. And then we're like, well, actually, Joe and Graham did better than us in every category. And so like we should celebrate them, in the competition of 4. You guys were very impressive. Within the format of this podcast and our Rad Dad Combine, it really was a Dex v Drew situation. And this tea drill, our first times, Dex and I's first times, were 8, 9, 1, like identical.
Yeah.
And then we ran it again, and our times again were 8, 3, 5, identical.
Yep.
So we actually opened up the first event in the Rad Dad Combine with, it's not even a millisecond. What's the 10 spot, or what's the 100th spot?
Well, 100th of a second. Yeah.
Okay, but I don't know what that is.
Thousandths.
It's a thousandth to a thousandth of a second.
Yeah.
We were tied twice.
Yeah. Which is like, what are the odds of that?
That was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our first event, Dex and I, the official score, tie game.
Yep.
So I don't know if it's 1-1-0-0. We tied that event. Joe, you...
I definitely lost to Graham. He had the strategy. His backward running was strong.
Yeah.
I can't remember my
Great
time.
backwards running.
Yeah, I know.
I say that about him all the time.
Yeah. And even when you guys, because I think I went after you guys in that one. I think I went 3rd. And like you were moving, and like I said, you're putting the pressure on me. Like, oh, Joe's gonna be good at everything. And then we get out there. I'm like, well, I have to seriously move now because I think my first time was slower than your second time. So I was like, had I not improved on my second time, I would have been last.
Yeah. But you got the hang of it. Like you said, your backwards run the first time you did it, you did lose a lot of time. And even your second one, like it was definitely not as good as the rest of your run, but you obviously had improved it since your first one. And I think that's where you made up the time.
But his back, he did the stutter step almost. Like we got it on video.
Yeah, the first one I took like 300 steps.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, but I'm like, well, you can't take massive strides either. I don't know. Next year.
So Dex and I tied. The official winner of the tea drill was Graham.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was 7 seconds and change. Super impressive. His whole thing is that he, was an athlete as a kid, has kind of kept up. He's an incredible golfer. He's actually on our team in the summer here. We're excited for that. But he's a F45 adopter big time.
Yeah.
He was a big guy. I think he was like over 2.
He told me 215 today, which blew my mind.
Because he's little. Yeah.
Well, he's like 5'9" if you're being generous.
Yes.
I think he said 5'8" because well, when we get to it later for the we're measuring our reach.
Yeah. And
I couldn't believe mine was higher than him, but then I looked at him and I was like, oh, you are shorter than me.
Well, he got on healthometer. What was he? He was like $160.
I want to say he said 163, 165.
So the guy has lost 50 pounds.
Yeah.
And so he won that handedly.
Yeah.
It was very much like, oh, cool. Okay, next one.
And I was acutely aware of like looking at, well, obviously yourself, you're skinny and or at least in shape. and I was looking at, you guys are, Graham was 165. I don't know what you are, but quite a bit lighter than us. And I was like looking when we're doing these agility and these running, I was like, Drew and I are literally hauling around like an extra 40, 50 pounds over more than 40 or 50 pounds than these guys. And so like I was very much aware that like put sandbags on your back. that's me.
Yeah,
and Drew.
and you get to do that every day. Like you guys are basically like
We're always
you guys are
grab
basically
training.
like Goku training in the gravity chamber. Like you should be coming out stronger at some point.
Well, you'd think.
You would think. But
Well, so yeah, that was fun. It was interesting. I definitely, like, as I was running it, I had, I was thinking as I'm going through, I'm like, I am slow. Like I felt as I was moving, I was like, oh, this is crazy. Like I see that pylon over there and I'm trying to get to it as fast as I can. and I'm not getting to it very fast. You know, like it was agility. Who trains for agility at our age? Like that's an interesting thing. It's an interesting concept. Definitely something to like put in the repertoire. You know, and I guess that goes back to the different styles of training. You know, the anti-Dexter approach, Dexter's elite performance. Like you're never mindful of that. You go lift weights, even going for a jog. Like I'm going out, I'm zone 2. Like I'm just looking to like get the heart rate up, get some distance. But I'm not like zigzagging. I'm not going back and forth. It's not a skill you retain as you get older.
That was actually the number one. If I had a concern about the T drill, was like blowing an ankle.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. My knee's going this way.
I got a little bit warm. I tried to move everything around. And then before we did it, I did like a couple like really half-assed kind of shuttles and like planted my foot. And I was like, how does my ankle feel when I come to a complete stop on here? And I was like, I think I'm okay, but see how I feel tomorrow.
Yeah. And that takes us right into our next event, the 40-yard dash.
Which we should clarify because of the length of the gym. Daryl measured it out as 50 feet, so not quite 40 yards.
Yeah, I guess considerably shorter. Was it?
It had to be more than 50.
Yeah, I feel like...
I think he said 50 feet.
He did say that out loud, and I immediately did not believe him. No offense, Daryl. But I was like, that's God. I did see him walking it out, though. Like, he was literally pacing it out. So to take him at his word.
One volleyball court, like the side length of a volleyball court, is 18 meters. So if you put it into perspective, you know, like we were in the 30-meter range. So we weren't... I would say we're definitely longer than 50, I think, feet, that is.
Oh, so we were pretty close to 40 yards then.
But I think we are under 40, but what matters is that it was a consistent distance that we all sprinted. Yeah. And this is one of those events that got a lot of airtime on our show because Dex called his shot. Dex said, I am...
What did he say?
Well, let me tell you, as Zagoli, and you did clarify this because we were giving you grief. You know, like, yes, you were the keeper, but everyone on the team trains together in dryland training.
We had to do fitness training. We had to do like 6 practices a week, and we did like 2 fitness trainings a week. So
Dex called his shot, and absolutely, unequivocally, and you'll see it in the video, you're fast.
I'm like a locomotive. It takes me a couple steps to get going, but I got going.
That was the hardest part, was getting going. That felt weird. Like I didn't have the starter block. Like you're just like from a standing position, I'm going to start moving. I think even my first one, I kind of like fell a bit. Like, oh fuck, I'm now running. Oh, okay. And then I got to run fast. But Dex, between the Rad Dads, you absolutely won that one.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
So not by as much as I thought I would, to be honest with you. Like you were only 0.2 seconds behind me.
I think it was 0.2. It was a close race.
It was pretty close. But my first time I was like, oh, I can definitely do better. And the second one, I felt like I really laid it out. But I still thought I was going to get sub 4, and I was like 4.08.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought at that distance, I thought I was going to get sub 4.
So it was like 4.12 or something. I can't remember. Natasha, Mrs. Hoover, Miss Dillon has all those.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
I can't remember exactly where I was, but yeah, very close to the flat 4 almost. And, but yeah, I mean, I called my shot and I was like, I cannot lose this one because I talked so much shit.
There was a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of Rad Dads, Dex took 40-yard dash. Great job. How was that? And I don't want to know like just how was it? Like I want to know that obviously, but just like the agility, when is the last fucking time you're like, you know what I need to do? Move as fast as I possibly can.
Yeah. Like, and even when I was running often, like last year I ran a lot. I ran 3 days a week. I think I finished the year around like 1,200 kilometers for the year. It was like roughly 100 a month.
Whoa.
And I don't run to go as fast as I can really ever. So I was like, when have I done that? So it was like whatever I had seen in watching an NFL combine before, right? It was like start planting your feet early, drive. And by the time you're straightening out, it's over. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? It's that fast. I felt like I was like upright too early on the first one. And I think Dex did beat me, and Graham looked really good. And I was like, okay, like we only get 2 tries. So I like and it goes by so quick. Like when all our turns are only taking 5 or 6 seconds, like you don't have a lot of time to mess around.
We moved through it quick.
Yeah. The whole combine moved quicker than I thought it would. So you're getting ready to go again. Like Daryl's already reset the watch. It's time to go. And all I could think of was like, you know, stay kind of diagonal and drive forward, and then like trying to picture what you see like real athletes on TV look like. Like as I'm coming to the finish line, I'm going to be more upright to not run into the wall at the other end of the gym. And so my second one, I can't remember the time either. It was like markedly improved, and I like narrowly held you guys off.
Yeah.
I did like the Chariots of Fire, like back in the 40s when it's like you got to stand up at the end to like drive more air into your lungs. Like I did not like watching that video. Out of all the events, maybe maybe the high jump, little teaser there. I was like going back and watching some of the video footage when we were at Strathmore Boston's Pizza, and I was like, ooh, don't love watching, like take your shirt off, take a picture. Like I don't want to watch videos of myself fucking running ever again. Like I did not like that.
It's like the athletic equivalent of like Zach and Miri make a porno when they rewatch it. They're like, this is unusable. I'm like, you think you're mildly athletic? Let's put it on tape.
Yeah, let's run as fast as we can. So I lost that. I came fourth outright, and Uncle Jam, the inverse function of how I felt watching him on video. I was like, well, of course. Yeah. Like he's an absolute, like he used to run track. He fucking crushed that.
So this is where he was 2 for 2 and you were starting to see like the writing on the wall. They're like, oh, Graham's training for a marathon and has participated in like numerous school activities only a few years ago. He's in decent shape. And I'm like, okay, like we might be just watching this on repeat for the rest of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, well, we had some surprises though. So 40-yard dash. Congratulations, Dex. You called it. You won it. Very
Thanks,
proud
man.
of you.
I'm glad I won it because I really put a lot out there about it.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Called your shot, buddy.
Called my shot.
Owen Nolan, man. Fuck yeah. And then we went right into it. And this was a surprise. This was a surprise for everyone because I think we, Jam and I talked about it, and we were all in agreement that this was the last event. Like we kind of wanted to do this to finish. Because we assumed it would be the most challenging. And I think it had some implications on our performance in terms of overall achievement. I mean, it certainly did. But we wanted to do the beep test last because it's very much like a leave it all out there type of event. It's very challenging. It surprises you, when that first beep, when that Australian beep, when that bloke.
Yeah, like that.
5 seconds.
I was giggling and we had to start.
The multi-stage fitness test will start in 5 seconds. Here's the alphabet. A, B, C. Yeah, so once that fucking thing started, you can essentially jog the shuttle distance for the first round. You really can.
It's slow.
And then, as this event progresses, that's the whole idea behind it. The beeps become closer together and continue to do so. And you get moving. You get to the point where initially you get to jog to one side, stop, take a breath, hear the beat, run back, and then it becomes you're just trying to make the line. And it's a very challenging event. So Daryl, he kind of superseded us and was like, hey, I'm running this event. We're all in the gymnasium right now. Before we get up to the weight room, this is what we're going to do. We're doing the beep test. So we're all like, oh, fuck, okay, yeah, this is the show. This is the one we came for. And admittedly, I knew I had an edge in that one. I knew I had an edge because I've been running for the half marathon. Yeah. So my lungs are there. I quit smoking. And I'm like, I've been very dedicated. I want to do well. I don't want to be in a bad way for my run. So I was like, I have this in the bag. But I had called my shot, much like you did with the 40-yard. The minute you were going to quit, I was going to quit. Like I knew Joe and Graham were in a different category, both like weight. Like we're talking heavy V, I don't know, cruiser or welter. Yeah, I don't even know how those categories work. But I was like, I'm not competing with them. To Natasha's dismay, because she was like, I love her so much. She was such a Drew super fan. Because so we run it and we did well. I think I got either 7.2 or 7.3.
You got 7.3 because I did 7.1 and you did 2 more.
Yeah. So the minute Dex, and you can see it on the video, the minute Dex quit, I was like, yes, W, I'm done. And I really did. I had so much more in the tank, but I was like, we have so many more events right now. I'm not going to fucking blow my load right now. I just want to finish. And Tasha was like, oh, yeah. she was so disappointed. She's like, you're doing so well. And I was like, thank you. I appreciate that. I was ready for this one.
Yeah.
I had run it at the school on my own. It was a huge wake up call. That was about 3 weeks ago. I did it. I was like, I'm just going to set up a cone, set up the distance, go for it. And the first time I ran it, and I was telling the team this, you can just look it up based on your age and your BMI, whatever it is. And you can look up overall achievement for the beep test and like what that says about your overall health. And the first time I did it, I scored a 3.8. And so you like go to the category like middle 30s male, and it's like no one should be under 4. No human person should be under 4. And I was like, this is not good. So I made it my mission. And then when you dropped off, I was like, that's it. I'm fucking done. Thank you. So I got the W there, but the actual W, Joe and Graham, you guys looked fantastic. Like I don't want to bury the lead here. You can tell us what happened, but I think you guys also agreed to call it quits.
Yeah, so we beat you to the school, and we were in the parking lot, and neither of us really knew the exact plan. We were like kind of comparing notes. I haven't seen Graham like in years. And we had said, we're like, well, I think we will lead the beep test. And then I said, this could backfire on us. Like if we continue to go in the beep test and we'll just be rinsed. And then those two have time to like sit, drink water and hang out. And
get some zins.
And I feel like I actually feel like this was a strategic win for me. So we had talked about it. And then, we're doing the beep test. He had already won the T drill and the 40-yard dash. And so you guys both dropped out and we kept going. And I said to him as we were jogging back in like the 8th round or whatever, and I was like, how much energy do we want to waste here? And he said, go to 10 and call it. And I was like, okay. And we kept going and it was like picking up. But yeah, I think we both could have easily gone. Looking at it online, I was like, I think I can get to 12 for sure. And Graham said he's been to 14 before. So I was like, I mean, the writing's on the wall. He might take this and he's willing to quit. And so we took the tie. We got to 10, jogged back, high-fived, and we're like, we'll walk away here because we did not want to run for another like 5 to 10 minutes all out and then compete against you guys.
And you can see that in the video. You guys hit 10-1. You look comfortable. Everything's cool. You stop. Friggin' predator handshake.
Yeah.
Nice one. So you guys entered in the tie. So the official results were Joe and Graham tie. And then I did Ed Dex, which felt good. I needed that because I was like, and in fact, the T drill, not to relive everything, but you have to touch the pylons.
Yeah. And
there was a moment there on my second where I tied Dex for the 8-3-5. I was like, I don't think I touched that fucking pylon. And I'm like, I'm not gonna say shit. Like I might need this W in the end. Like I'm gonna take the tie. And so you guys taking the tie, I think that's best case scenario for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, and it did speed up the day too, because I mean, like I said, I was like, how long do you want to be doing this? And then it set it up for you two to go upstairs at like a perfect 1-1-1 record.
Yeah. And for when we were running that's the first time I've ever done a beep test. I've never done it before.
Yeah, same.
I felt like when we started, I was looking at you guys, and you guys were beating me to the line every time, but I still had time every time I got to the line. So I'm sitting there watching you guys, and I was like, I have the best pace out of all of us. Because I'm actually going slower and it felt like you guys were going a little faster. But I wasn't even like aerobically tired. Like it wasn't like my lungs hurt or I couldn't catch my breath. My legs stiffened up so much. I didn't actually miss any of the times. It was like, I don't think I can actually continue to like plow myself along and keep hitting these beeps without like just completely cramping up like my hips and my glutes and stuff. And so and I was thinking ahead. I was like, I've already got one in the bag.
Yeah,
Drew told me
strategic.
Drew told me he's going one more than me. I know you've been running, so I was like, how far do I even want to push this just to fucking lose anyway? And so I was just like, I looked at Daryl and I was like, I'm going to get water. I just walked away. I did not even miss a single beep. I was just like, all right, see ya.
I think that's why we did the beep test there, though, right? Like, did you want to walk away from the running, do other stuff, and then come back to it later? Like that would have been all of us probably.
Yeah,
I think so. And I also think just the organization, systematic. We were in the gym. We were going to do all those speed, cardio, agility events, and Daryl knew that. He had thought about that, and so it made sense. It made sense to fucking do it. I feel very comfortable that I could have maybe met you guys at 10. But if I got there, that was it. Like, I needed a minute after that for sure.
Yeah, to be honest, like the competitor in me, like I would like a shot at doing it full out.
Yeah,
like as we high-fived and stopped, and you guys were all like, you're not gonna keep going, and I was like, I mean, I would like to know what I could do on it. It was strategy for like the competition, which I didn't know until we got here. Didn't matter.
It's not that it didn't matter.
No, I'm just joking.
I want to clarify for you, and I want to clarify for the listeners, the whole idea, and not to beat a dead horse, the whole idea is that Dex and I had this resolution. We decided to get fit, for ourselves, but also we had the competition. And so when we wanted other people to participate, it was not only for this exact moment in time where we're all together and we can break it down and kind of improve just the insights of what it was like, but also, you said it before, like what is the median? What are the people who are actually exercising, that are conscious of what they eat, how much they exercise on a weekly basis? What are they really accomplishing? Because not that we're just prolifically giving misinformation and misleading people, but it does happen. We are not that great. We certainly were not going to go out there and set times that were by any means impressive. This was you versus me. This was the Rad Dad thing. So to have you there and compete was not only fun, it was like a really huge bonus for the day, but it also was just so everyone knows, just so everyone
you can't just
knows.
work out for 4 months and then suddenly like
you're doing cool, amazing things. You're not. You're working out for 4 months.
There's still a ways to go.
And there's more miles. And so it was great to have you there, not only to, like I said, enjoy this day with each other, but also be like, yeah, just so you know, just so you fucking know, this is what it actually looks like. And so we really don't want to diminish your accomplishments or Jam's accomplishments, but that is what this was. It was Dex v Drew, and then also there's some guys who are actually fit that are running this. And so, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was awesome, especially in terms of motivation. I was like, oh, fuck. Joe and I, as brothers, and you have this with Clint, you always kind of want to be better at things. Like there's an inherent fucking desire there to be like, I want to be stronger. I want to be faster than people I'm related to. And so it's good to see that you've had this, extensive timeline of not just fucking quitting and getting mega fat and doing your thing. And it's paid off. That's what it was. So don't want to beat a dead horse. You guys did great. No competition between you and us. That would not be a fun episode. Different leagues. Yeah, we definitely had an A team and a B team. So yeah, we are framing this as like we're gonna be like, I am the Rad Dad champion, but that's just us. That's just Dex and I. We're not actually talking about like what really happened out there, because I think it was no secret. No one fucking thought pulling up to the parking lot at Strathmore High School that like we were gonna maybe win the whole thing out of the four of us.
Just dark horse, from the back.
I don't know. Like I said, I knew nothing about Graham and his fitness levels, and I had heard Dex had like played pretty good soccer in the past, and so
high level.
You got that?
I had no idea what I was in for. So, and at that point, Graham had finished first twice, and we tied in the beat test. Other than that, like it was like pretty even on the scoreboard, right? Like I didn't win anything.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
To that point, yeah.
Yeah. So, and that was agility. And then so we go upstairs, beautiful weight room facility, paid for by the Prairie Oyster Association of Strathmore. They donated a lot of money. We're going to pitch them our idea. And we got into, actually upstairs was jumping events. Again, kind of a curveball for us. Because I kind of thought maybe the jumping events were going to be on the hard court. And we talked about this a bit. When I grew up 80 pounds ago, I played a ton of volleyball. I don't know if I've ever said this on the podcast, but when I was 14, I played on a club team, and we were the national championship team. We won gold, best team in Canada. And I played a ton of volleyball. And so I've got like a little bit from there. Even in junior high, track and field, I was not only the high jump champion at Okotoks Junior High School, I was the high jump champion at the divisional level, and I went to high jump at zones and never placed lower than fourth, had a third place finish. So like I have a history of jumping very high.
Big old jumper.
Enter this competition. We go upstairs to do the jumping events, and I would now in hindsight say probably the most physically challenging and certainly the most surprising for me. So the next event on our list was the broad jump, the just horizontal, how far can you jump? And Daryl lays this thing out. He's got a mat. One guy stands on the mat, to make sure it doesn't, trip anyone up, doesn't move. We can keep the distances, and you essentially like line your toes up from a fucking standing position, load the arms, and you just go as far as you can. Dex, how did that go?
My first attempt, so we did 3 attempts at this. My first attempt was bad, and I landed so poorly. Like I landed so hard on my feet, and it just reverberated up my legs and into my lower back. I was like, oh, my back. Like, and it hurt. Like it hurt as much as running into those bleachers. And luckily I kind of like massaged my back a little bit, and it worked out. So it wasn't like an injury. Like there's no excuse that it, held me back on future attempts. But I was like, that was the first time I've done like a broad jump since junior high. Right. Like, and so
even then you get to run at it to just like just stand and jump forward.
Yeah.
It's
I was
a weird
thinking of
thing.
this, like, okay, I'm a bit older than you guys. Like when we were kids, you did like the Canada Fitness and you did the standing long jump, but like you would do it from like the edge of the sandbox.
Yeah, you
the
jump into the sand.
And then I think that was only till like grade 2 or 3. And then like, oh, you're old enough to do a real long jump now. So
Right.
I'm like, have I done a broad jump since grade 2? I don't know.
I couldn't tell you. But
So this was
my form
a
was
level.
poor.
This was a level playing field, though.
yeah,
100%.
but none of us had done that. So my form was poor. It hurt when I landed. I was like, I did not do that right. And I was watching you guys, and you guys were, I feel like a lot more, I guess, light on your feet as you were. All 3 of you had pretty good jumps. Like I was well behind after that first rep. Like not, it wasn't even fucking close. And so then my second one was okay. I improved on my first one. And then my third one was really good. I actually surpassed you, Drew.
You did.
And I was like, okay, so like let's see if Drew can,
Got me scared.
yeah, let's see if he can dig down deep. And you did.
That could have come down to the wire for us. And I have to credit Jam on that one because there's a lot.
He flew.
He flew. He absolutely flew. In fact, I think his first jump, we set up the camera to film all this shit, and I had set it up appropriately for Dex and I for like the beginning jump and the end result. And then he did his first jump and he was out of frame, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize we're really jumping here. Okay, bro. So I back up the camera, and but I was watching him. And like, not only was his loading phase dialed, like he's getting down, but he had like an angle of attack. Like he was coming out at 45 or lower, like super acute, and like almost falling into that jump. And then there's the leg tuck, there's the land, and he was jumping so much further than us that in my third attempt, you had surpassed my second attempt, and I was like, okay, no way, okay, fucking, I need this. And I definitely just Johnny on the spot, I'm like, I'm coming out on that angle and I'm getting my legs up. And I think in the end, I only got you by...
It was like an inch or 2.
Yeah, like it was
even
really
that.
close.
It was pretty tight, yeah.
Yeah. But I took long jump for the Rad Dads. And Joe, you beat both of us. How did it go for you?
It was all right. I feel like I have zero technique at that. I got... I beat my goal. I think I'd looked it up online. I tried this like a month ago after you invited me to do this. I was like, how do you do a broad jump? And I tried it. I was telling Dex, I like almost mangled my foot in the living room, like jumping. Basically, I was like, okay, how long is our ottoman? And then tried to jumped in the living room and then took a look at it.
The old living room training.
Yeah, and I
sesh.
like messed up my foot. And I'm like, okay, well, we're not going to practice those anymore. And so yeah, I got 7'3". My goal was 7 feet. And that one, man, like you talk about the first few events, like I felt like I was close with Graham, and then that one, even off his first jump, I was like, yeah, I'm not catching this kid. Like he had it dialed.
He uncorked like a very impressive jump.
He was a very different level than us.
Like I was telling myself, like, this is me versus me. Like there's no point. I'm not actually going to pass his jump, right?
I would just like to know where I'm at.
Yeah. So I did better than I thought I could or that I would. So
Yeah.
I was happy with it.
Yeah, it was a fun event. I liked it.
Yeah. Can you talk about like how long that mat actually is? Like who needs the full length mat? Like we were standing at the second square. So Daryl's like,
Didn't even use the full
Daryl's like,
mat.
well, you don't need the first 2 squares. And then there's like several squares left over at the end. Like it's like a 12-foot mat. I was like, okay.
An Olympic athlete, maybe.
Yeah, not us, but so that gave me a 1 event lead at that point.
Yeah.
And then I guess we'll get right into it. I was feeling great because in my head, again, volleyball guy, high level volleyball guy. If Tom ever listened to this, he'd be like, you were not that good. But I was like, there's no way I lose the vert. And we had actually, on my birthday one year, gone to a school I was working at, and we played some dodgeball. It was hilarious. Sean uncorked the absolute biggest cannonball dodgeball into my wife's face, gave her a concussion. That was like, it was a really good birthday. And I was actually bragging, much like a 40-yard dash, much like a high-level soccer player. I was bragging. I was like, you know what? Lots of people can jump higher than I can, but very few people can be as heavy as I am and jump as high as I can. I was proud of that. And in that, remember that weekend?
Yeah.
I jumped up and I smacked the glass on the backboard. And I was like, let's see someone else who's 240 pounds do that. And Dex just right behind me fucking jumped up and did it. He's like, fuck you. And I was like, maybe I'm not that impressive. And yeah, I ate those words because, and I have to say it. I'm fucking heavy, gravity. There's just no way. When we got into that high jump and I did my first attempt, it was very much, oh no, this is not what I'm going to win. So how we started it, and this is obviously, it makes sense. We go up and you have to do like your highest reach, like where can you actually touch? And then you go and do the jump, and your attainment is secondary to how high you're actually able to reach. And it was actually kind of interesting. I think you and Joe were identical at 75.
Yeah.
Graham,
he was the shortest out of all of us.
Shortest guy, and also low reach. He was 72. Daryl, who's like 3 inches taller than me, he was 79. So I was kind of like, oh fuck, I actually weirdly have like this like massive reach and still feeling confident. I uncorked a 13-inch standing jump. So if you imagine 2 credit cards stacked on top of
Or one of Dex's leg injuries.
Oh my God. I fucking can't jump at all. So did I go first? I did go first.
You did go first that one, yeah.
I was surprised. This is one of the ones that shocked me. I was not good. No bueno. I jumped. There's even 2 colors you'll see in the video. There's like red for like people who jump and black for like, yeah, I guess you're doing it too. And like, I thought in my head, I was like, oh, I'll get the first red one, the second red one. I jumped and there was nothing there. There's nothing there. You want to talk about hang time, like Air Jordan, whatever the antithesis of that is. You want to talk about like Vegeta and Goku in the like gravity chamber, the capsule. I was fucking weighed down. I honestly felt like I had 2 anchors on me. I just could not get up there. I knew right away. I knew after the first jump, I was like, okay, miscalculation, underestimation. I will not even come close. And I was kind of like banking on you being terrible. But also you had that shorter reach. So not only was your reach 4 or 3 inches, whatever it was, shorter than mine,
yeah,
but your actual jump was still, even with that advantage, higher than mine.
Yeah,
considerably.
I think my net came out to 18 inches.
Which is crazy, I think, for a standing jump.
I have no idea. I've always been terrible at that.
That's a thing.
You and I tied. Our net tied. We actually had the same reach, and I think we hit the same.
So that's a foot and a half.
Didn't we?
Did we? I got one red.
You got one red. I got all the blacks. So you got one.
I was like, please get a red. Please, my wife is here. Please get a red.
So you jump, but you just jump right up, and you are 1.5 feet. Which some people are probably like, LOL, this is not height. But you're jumping a foot and a half just from standing position, and I barely made a foot, and I lost that one hard. That was a hard L for me, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, but I think to go to Graham, he was the shortest reach.
Yeah,
and he still got up the highest, which was super impressive.
Like he just 24-inch standing vert.
He just sprung up.
And I think he could have got one more. He just timed it wrong.
Like I think so too.
Good on his third jump.
You want to talk about bad timing on that though? Me.
Timing or aim?
I had to do yours a couple times.
We had to do my. Everybody else was like touching. If you've never seen these things, they've got like these little markers on like a swivel, and so you're just trying to tap it so that it swings, and then they can mark your spot. And I kept going up, and I was full on like volleyball smashing, but I kept missing. And I was just hitting the whole contraption and just completely throwing it off. Like I think I had an extra jump at it because my first one I fully just like
You hit them all.
I palmed the fuck out of that thing and almost knocked it over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they all spun. And I was like, Dex has figured this out. That's how you get the
Dex
red
almost
ones
touched
at the
the roof.
top. Is
Yeah.
you just hit the whole thing.
Yeah, does that count if you just spin them all?
I don't think so. I don't think that's getting you an NFL contract.
Joe, how'd it go? How'd you feel?
I think on the list of things you gave us, that was the one I was least confident about. You talk about like playing volleyball in high school. I played volleyball in high school, and even then I was known as like not a jumper. Like I was like, that kid better be able to play back row and keep his serve
be able
and
to pass.
and keep his serves in bounds because he's subbing out every time he gets to the net. So that has never been my thing. And like I said, I was standing there and I'm like, I got to be able to get one red, right? And I barely got that. I feel like if I were lucky, maybe one more, but I, just took my participant ribbon there and walked away.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. So Dex beat me, so that tied it up.
Yep.
Graham's was like very impressive for his height.
Yep.
Like if you give Graham my reach at 79. And then you add on his 24, he's grabbing the rim.
Yeah.
He's right there, which is nuts. And when I say grabbing the rim, if you did the math there, you're like, well, that's 1 inch shy. But this is a standing jump, no run. And I'll tell you, because I wanted to, because I was like, I wanted to be like, trust me, give me a fucking 30-yard run into the jump. You can generate so much momentum with technique. You really can.
Yeah.
I still think that if we were to go right now and do like a full volleyball approach, I would be much closer to that 20-inch mark because I learned that technique. I can do it. So when you consider Graham in that way, if he's getting a running start to do his vertical jump, that the guy is grabbing the basketball rim, which at 5'8", totally white, extra white as he is, like mayonnaise white, is super impressive. And that pales in comparison to the most impressive part of that event was our moderator, my guy Daryl. So every event that we did, he gave us a little run through and an exemplar. He went and he did it, and he wasn't actually doing the event. Like, here's me full out. He's
It's
like,
a jog through.
This is a jog through. Here's what I'm going to do. But we had asked him, and this will be on the video. I said, can you just show us what your jump is? And I got him in slow-mo. And Daryl, from a standing position, and his because we measured his reach, he was 1 inch higher than me. He stands and he jumps and he hits every single one.
Yeah.
He hits the top one.
He had the bunnies on display for sure.
That was nuts. Yeah, and Daryl's older than us. Like he not to age him and not to engage in ageism, but like impressively in good shape for him to just pop up there and be like, and this is what you do. You hit them all. Yeah, you fucking do them all. So that was pretty unbelievable. Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for Graham. Good for Joe. Good for Dex. Rad Dad champ at the high jump. That was definitely one of those ones after I was like, I fucking slept on Dex. 100%.
Yeah. I was a little concerned about that, but I also knew that I can jump. So I don't know. That was a toss up for me going in.
That brought us right into what I was anticipating as being like the show. And I do want to talk a bit about this, the bench press at 135. So the name of the game was just a plate aside, as many as you can do. And you want to talk about training leading up to the combine. I would go into the basement on Sundays, specifically 7-day rotation, so that I was ready for it. And I would do 155, so more than our target. And that's all I would do, is I would do a couple warm-up sets. I would do one set, as many as I possibly fucking could. And then I would do it until I got 100 reps. And I was pushing like 22, 23 at 155. And in my mind, and I think I even vocalized this, I was like, I think I'm good for 30 or 35. And Joe went first. And this has been a theme throughout my history of working out with Joe. If I go first, he just looks at me, and just like we did on the beep test, he's like, I'm going to be one more. Like, that's his number. I don't know what my number is. My number is one more than Drew. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to let Joe go first. And so that I can be like, I'm going to one more him. And Joe, you absolute dog. You did 30 reps at a plate aside.
Yeah,
Easy.
Yeah, I was pumped. Well, I mean, the last one wasn't easy.
No, but it looked easy.
You had a good pace going to it.
We got the video. Like, there's not going to be any question when people go back and watch this. If you guys do, like, impressive, super impressive. How did that feel?
It was good. I don't have a bench at home. I don't do very much bench press. I do a lot of push-ups, and I think if you do the math, they say that push-ups, depending on your form and your body composition, they're anywhere of like 50 to 75% of your body weight during the press. So I'm like, that's about 130 or 135 pounds for me. So I do usually a lot of push-ups every workout. I tried to get used to this. I put some plates on the floor, and then I would so I'd have my butt on the floor, my back onto the plates, and I'd have to hip thrust the bar up onto my chest. And so I was doing almost like a glute bridge bench press at home. And so I did that simply to get used to the bar, because push-ups are not the same as bench press. Yeah. And then I messed around with doing some higher reps in sets in the weeks leading up. But I don't think I benched more than a couple sets of 145 was the heaviest I went, because I was like, I liked your theory. I'm like, if I can press 145, I can press 135. But I was like, the goal here is number of reps, not max weight. So yeah, I just started to get on there and let her buck.
And rhythm's huge. And this is a hilarious aside. So when you did your bench press, your wife's there. And I know this about your wife. She gets a kick out of you exercising.
Oh, she was stoked for you.
She like it, Joe. And when you did 30, I was in my head, I was like, fuck. First and foremost. But I also was like, look at Tash. She's so excited. To see you lift. And here's the aside. Dex and I have been training. You got to understand that we're coming from baseline sedentary. We weren't doing anything essentially.
Not really, no.
A couple bikes here and there. We have noticed, and I don't want to go TMI. I don't want to get it gross the audience out, but we're going to go there. I'm going to say it. If you are a guy that just fucking doesn't do anything, and then you immediately start watching what you eat, you start exercising, and for me, it was instead of meals, I'm doing protein and stuff, the fucking libido. I am not kidding. In the last 3 months, I've never been as torqued. I've never been as ready to go as it's like a new me. To the point where I'm driving my wife insane. I'm like, hey, what's going on? I know you've got night shift in 10 minutes. She's like, I'm fucking good on that. I'm actually cool. I know that you're exercising for the first time and your body's experiencing changes. Yeah. And I'm just I've had a million Strathmore cow testes and I am just absolutely ripping right now. You got to help me out. And it was this whole experience, if there's one thing that would definitely shocked me, was just that physiological change. But it was funny to see you doing that bench, and then Tass was just so into it. And I was like, okay, yeah, there's something here. So there's a little tidbit for the listeners, especially the boys. If you're having trouble down there, if you're not doing your thing, you're not excited about life, man, get exercising. It'll fucking turn you right around immediately. And you said the same thing.
I've said the same thing. I'm annoying my wife with I'm like, you want to do it? She's like, again? But yeah, to the flip side of that though, when I went, I only got 15 reps. So I think I turned my wife off.
Well, yeah. So, okay.
But I called my shot, similarly to calling my shot at winning the 40-yard dash.
Yeah.
I called my shot that I was going to lose the bench press, and I did. I still got 15 reps, which was kind of what I was hoping to get.
I got 15. You got 15. Jam got 21.
Yeah.
I got 22. So shout out Graham because,
well, he's the lightest, smallest one out of all of us.
He's 80 pounds lighter than me.
Yeah.
He's 4 inches or 3 inches shorter than me, whatever it is. And he is right there. So crazy impressive. So I got 22, and I will admit, I'm not going to lie, I was disappointed. That's one I want back. That's one I was like, oh, okay, no, give me some time. Because I trained so hard for that. So it was nice to...
You got the W.
I got the W for the Rad Dads. But to see Joe do 30, I was like, I got work to do. You know, like that's bring it right back to what we're saying about the motivation and move. I definitely came away from that and was like, back to the lab without a mic to grab. So then I add all the rhymes I had. No, I'm ready to push that pace. And I've got a big bench too, which is funny because my reps were no good. But when I started doing that on my own in preparation for the combine, when I was working at the school in Okotoks, I had access to a gym and I was pushing like 315. It felt
wild.
good. Yeah. And then to see Joe just absolutely dominate in that, I was like, okay, I want to do this more. Like there's something there. There's a whole, we need Kelsey back on for that. There's a whole thing with like ATP, like the available energy in your body, how much you're exercising. Cause that's what happened to me is I did like my first 10, nothing. Next 5, nothing. And then like that 15 through 22, I felt like I'm goosed. I just can't fucking push anything right now. I'm toast.
And if you guys are in early days right now, like in those first few months, like benchmark stuff like that, like you can hang on to that for a while because you will keep crushing them over and over and over, right? Like it is a little more linear out of the gates. And then as time goes on, like, yeah, you can't like live and die for a PR every month or quarter or a year.
It's
like,
so cliche with the bench too, right? Like, what do you bench? What do you bench?
Yeah, it becomes few and far between. Like the PR type stuff is like once a year if you're lucky, kind of thing.
I will say that like on my app, I enter all my weights and stuff, my reps, and it feels like every time I go to the gym, I'm setting a PR, but it's because I'm starting from nothing, and so it's like yeah, of course I'm going to set a PR because I was literally lifting. Pick anybody in the gym, male, female, physical ability, whatever. They could probably push more than me when I first walked into that gym. But it's like every time I go, I'm lifting more and more. And so I saw that progression a lot. And I knew I wasn't good at bench, but I was like, if we tried to do that in January when we first said this, I don't think I'm getting to 10.
Oh yeah.
No way.
Drew, you've been there though with like progression over stuff. Like when you were really doing a lot of like deads and rowing and big weights at your last school, and Sean would be there sometimes. Like you hit a wall and you have to back off, and you're like, what do I need to do to break through this wall? Is it like speed work? Is it higher reps? Is it my form? Like and you do have to start dissecting it, and that can entertain you for a while too. But like you will hit that wall, and it's like, how do you keep yourself engaged?
It's counterintuitive because I remember that, and I remember I was really trying to push the pace with deadlifts, and Shano, our buddy, you know, like he's a specimen, and we'd lift and we'd lift heavy, and we'd get up in deadlifts to that like 350, 360. And then just something would change, and you'd get to your big lifts. You're like 385, starting to get into 4s. And if people are listening and people know deadlifting, these aren't big lifts. You know, the kind of like gold standard for an adult male is twice your body weight. And so like it's actually not insane. It really isn't insane to be deadlifting 450 pounds. And I would just like hit this wall. I couldn't do it. And I start to think like, is it my fast twitch muscle fibers? Is this like an explosion type thing? You know, bring it back to fucking CrossFit. Like, am I not exploding enough? I need to explode more. And I could just never reach it. But then it kind of invites that, what am I missing? Do I do low back? Do I do these like stabilizer type movements? And that's what happened with bench. Forever I was the guy. And this is previous Drew. This is like my last moment in time, Kelsey, where I was working out. You know, I was always the guy that, you know, could do 225 on bench and never move the needle. Like just get up there and then it's just a dead stop. And when it finally clicked for me and I started lifting like in the 3s, was not training bench. It was training my lats and doing a lot of those other muscles that kind of support that shoulder girdle. That's a tough one. But like your rotator cuff, right? You know, there's so much there that you have to train specifically to be in a position to just actually geometrically move that weight efficiently. And that's what happened to me is I was not only doing bench press, but I was doing a lot of pull-ups. Granted, like the fucking, what do you call those kip ups, like fucking swingy dingy ding dong, fuck those ones. But you know, I was doing all these other exercises and all of a sudden it translated. And I would be like in fucking 8th grade weightlifting class. And I would do it just for fun. Be like, hey, Timmy, come over here, spot me. 315, 305. And they'd be like, you're huge. And I'm like, I'm not. I just finally figured that out. And so there's an element to that. Like all these ones that I'm like, I wish I was doing better. I guess we'll stick with bench. I wish I would have pushed more than I thought. Because I got 22. And I was like, oh, fuck. That surprised me. But that's all I was doing was I was going into the gym and I was doing bench press. But you want to talk about the complete package? You want to be someone who's actually improving and moving that needle? You're doing everything. You know, like you're working on your traps. You're working on your flies. You have a balanced approach, to accomplishing that particular lift, but you're doing it through other means. And another thing that I never knew until I was like way older, you know, your body moves in this way that when you overcompensate in particular movements, it's diminishing in other areas. And so you can go to the gym and do bench press every fucking day of your life. But if you aren't pulling that same weight through the back end, so like literally a push versus a pull, you're working against yourself. Your body's a system. They all have to work in tandem. And you talk about workload. You go to the gym, you load up 225, you lift 10 times, 12 times, whatever it is. But then you're not on your back day, on your pull day, doing comparable, not weight, but comparable work, literally pulling and getting those muscles as tired and as worked as you did when the bench is happening. You're working against yourself. You're creating problems. You know, you get fucking scap lift, you get pain in your shoulder, like everything is such a fucking balance. So that's one. I definitely I got the W Rad Dads. I was like, fuck, my fucking older little brother fucking just dwarfed me, which I don't love. But it gave me like, okay, that's what this is. Like there's a system here that needs to be worked, not just this one fucking movement. So it was good. I liked it. And it brought us even. Or actually, I think at that point I was up one. I was like, I win. And then Daryl, love him, and I've been singing his praises. But he picked this and like would not move off it. We had no intention of another event. That was it. I was like ready to like bust the champagne open and just fucking splash it on your face. Like I am the winner. And Daryl was like, and we have one more event. And that event was the max bicep curl.
Yeah.
And so not max as in like the weight you're moving, but just like how many reps can you do? I guess the exact same situation as the bench press. And he was like, we're doing it. Get your back against the wall. And this is the final event. Who can curl more? And I had got Joe to go first for the bench. You had gone first for the vertical jump. And I was like, oh, I guess it's me. And I went down. I think I got 15.
Yeah.
But it was tough. Like I was not there.
What was the weight?
There's 25 plates on each side with
Plus
the
the
barbell.
bar.
So I was guessing like 65-ish.
Yeah, something
65,
like that.
70. You had to keep your back against the wall. And I did 15. And I felt okay with that. Enter the rest of you.
I went right after you, I think.
Yeah, this was another one of those moments where I was like, I slept on Dex.
Yeah, you were moving.
Yeah.
Even at the end, when you were slowing down and then like eking like, and one more rep. And one more rep. I was like, Dex is stacking these up right now. I'm like, and again, like you're doing the Rad Dad competition, but Graham and I stand over the side. I'm like, I don't like this. Like, it's a lot of reps.
Yeah. So
I banged out, what did I do, 18?
you did 18. Yeah. And like, nice form. Where does that come from? Was that the gym? Is that you training?
Yeah, so that was definitely training. My shout out Justin Slim of Slim Fitness, but he sends me my my training plan each month, and there's like 5 different workouts. And he in my last month, he's had preacher curls in my workout.
So those of you who don't know, it's like you curl, but you praise our Lord and Savior.
Well, I do that with every workout. But,
yeah.
So I was doing those, and I was, I had gotten myself up. I was doing dumbbells, but I got myself up to 45 pounds.
Oh, so you were like dwarfing that weight then.
Well, it was pretty similar, because if you do 245s, yeah, I guess we're pretty close to that weight. But I was doing 3 sets of 8 reps. Like that was my max weight, my failure weight. So when that was in there, I was like, oh, well, we'll see how this translates. Like a slightly different workout, but similar. And yeah, I banged out 18.
Yeah, honestly, super impressive. I was like, fuck.
And I will say, I think that was the only event that I beat Graham at.
And your wife and kids were there. That was a big
yeah.
moment. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that felt good.
I mean, bicep curls are one, like when your biceps go, like that's it. Like
This is small muscle.
they start to get swollen too. Like it's just every rep is more difficult. Like you're done.
Tasha, cheerleader Tasha was like, fucking look at Dex has veins.
Oh, yeah, she's like, your
look at that
biceps are
vein
popping. I was like, yeah,
Look at
well,
the vein
but
popping.
I will say the two things that hurt the most on me other than the bleacher incident is my hips hurt a lot right now. And my biceps are fucking still burning.
Well, you left it on the field. That was for the, and I guess bury the lead, and this is what everyone's waiting for. Dex and I, the Rad Dads, tied.
Which is wild.
Which is fucking wild. Neither of us called that.
No. I definitely thought you were going to win going into it. I was like, as long as I can get my one event that I called in the air. That's all I need.
Not only did we tie, but if you break everything back down, it comes down to the T drill, the first event, to come within, well, to identically finish.
Yeah.
So, and we felt great about that. We were like, I think both of us.
Yeah, everybody's like, we got to do a tiebreaker. We got to do tiebreaker. We're like, no, we're happy with
I
that.
wanted it.
yeah.
I wanted an Indian leg wrestle right in the
Yeah.
First Nations leg wrestle right in the middle of the gym. I mean, you guys were like the 72 Summit Series. Like, if we didn't do the bicep curl, it was an odd number or an even number of events, so you could have tied. And having a tie early in the competition set it up to make you the winner, and then we add another event.
Yeah, I felt good about that. Joe, you uncorked. You won the biceps.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah. How did that feel?
I was good. I was pushing it at the end. I was like, I'm going until Daryl no reps me. I was like, I will start swinging this. But then like I said, you are basically at like failure. Like standing against the wall, you're not gonna be able to cheat very much, right?
Yeah.
So it got to the point where I was like, yeah, if I could just like lean away from the wall a little bit and like kick my hips a bit, like I could get another one and like it'd be ugly.
Oh yeah, when you're on the wall, you want to cheat. Like Daryl gave me shit towards my last one. He's like, your shoulders are on the wall, but like your ass is out, and you're reducing the angle.
I had to I stepped my feet further out after like 4 or 5 reps.
Yeah.
So that I was like planted against. I was pushing into the wall with my feet more to stop cheating because I was like, I will fall away from the wall.
And Graham finally came last in an event, but even everyone after he finished was like, what you won was the
Best form.
Like just like did no compromise.
Yeah.
Like flat against the wall. Every lift was legit. Like he was not getting no repped at all. So shout out
Tash
to him.
was your hype man, though. It was so funny. Like, you were starting to slow down on your last few, and she's like, 2 more, and you banged out 2 more. She's like, 1 more. You got 1 more done. She's like, 1 more, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, can I work out with Tash more? Like
did. Such a hype
that's
man,
that's a new industry. Like we're gonna get the testes out, like the Jax Links testes, but also just like instead of a trainer, we are gonna offer just hype man services.
Oh god,
I'm just gonna come to the gym with you and just be like, yeah, oh yeah, fuck yeah.
She's the best. Like she has a full on crew that rolls up to spin now that she's like convinced all these people to go. And like I call her an influencer and she hates it. But even I did a big workout last year, like a benchmark workout, and like her only task was to make sure I didn't skip any reps and count wrong. And I was like, and don't let me quit. Cause like I don't want to quit. No matter what my score is in the end, I don't want to quit. And she like canceled her plans and sat at the house for like 2 hours just watching me work out and being like, come on.
Yeah, there's a market there for sure. I think having someone like push you like that is important, but I also feel like, just on the whole, the fact that we were able to do this solo and then come together and then have that fucking tie, like we were so excited.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel the best about that outcome.
Yeah.
Like I said, I now can say in hindsight, I did underestimate you. The fact that we came out of a tie, best case scenario. In summation, though, I think we're both like more motivated to continue this.
I think the work that we put in, it's like, well, I just don't want to stop now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want that all to be for naught.
Yeah.
And yeah, it goes back to that like moment in time thing. But, again, for my wedding, like, it's like, okay, I got married and now I'm just going to be a fat piece of shit.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Whereas like now it feels like I put in a lot more work and there's like some sweat equity in there. it's like, no, I won't stop now.
Yeah. Man, that was so fucking awesome. Hands in. Yeah, we can't really hit the mics. Yeah. It was so good. Joe, thank you so much for coming on with us, man.
Yeah, it was a blast. I was excited to do this. Like, it was a good motivator for me too. Like I said, I was kind of sandbagging it a bit with some injuries, and then you guys gave me the call, and I was like, I guess I have to get going again. So I don't like taking breaks. I'm back at it, so that was nice, and this was a fun day.
Yeah, 100%. I do just want to let the listeners know that if you've been tuning in over the last month, like, we've been hyper focused on this challenge and hyper focused on that fitness angle. And very much as this has been a period in time for the Rad Dad Redemption podcast, I can assure you that this is not our new angle.
No, we're not turning into a fitness podcast.
If you're sitting here being like, oh, I liked it better when they did more wiener jokes and they just talk about their fitness journey now, that's not what this fucking is. This is very much the end of a chapter. Not personally, because we are going to continue this. We just said that. But for the podcast and where we're headed, we have so much more opportunity now to interview people, to explore other avenues. We are getting back to basics. We're going to have some fantastic guests on, and we are going to keep you riveted through the summer. We have some huge ideas, and so please keep listening, because we're just fucking getting started. We're just scratching the surface. It's actually super exciting time to be a part of this this artistic endeavor that we started almost 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
But I think it also, just for those of you who are like, so what? It's a tie? Fuck that. We absolutely have to know who is the champion. We do.
Who's the raddest dad?
Who's the raddest fucking dad out there? Right?
You're wearing the Rad Dad apparel right now.
Okay, I'm going to shout us out. I know our fucking merch site leaves a little to be desired, because we outsource the production and the manufacturing. Dex does a good job designing everything. It's fire. But I've recently purchased the Rad Dad Country Club windbreaker fit, and I'm not gonna shit on our other stuff, because it's just kind of like, it's like the Yeti. It's like a funny t-shirt, whatever. You should check it out. Rep us 100%. But this is sick.
It is a sick jacket.
I fucking love this. Our Country Club golf apparel is actually turning out to be like really nice stuff. So with golf season just starting, one, expect the golf content. That's definitely coming your fucking way. And two, if you got some money, and this is not a fucking cash grab, we actually don't make a cent.
We actively lose money on the hosting of our website.
Yeah, we actually lose money on all this stuff. But if you're looking for some cool gear for this summer season on the course, check out not only it's BajaLife.style,
yeah,
but check out our Rad Dad Country Club apparel, because it is actually turning out and it's fucking awesome. But I digress. So Dex, we have to solve this. We have to know who the raddest dad is. We have to have a champion. And so we have one more bonus event for us to compete in. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
So in between the Combine and our Boston Pizza little hangout, Joe and I went to another Boston Pizza Okotoks. Shout out.
For the brand.
And we filled a couple coolers with ice. And by a couple coolers, I mean we got a ridiculous amount of ice. And you and I are going to get into our swim trunks, and we are going to see who can take an ice plunge longer, who can hold it longer.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
I'm a little concerned for my cow testes. They're going to suck right back up into my
I'm
body.
a full innie. I got an innie thinking about it. That's what I need to do for my wife with all this testosterone and cow testes and protein.
Just take a cold shower.
Yeah, a couple cold showers. But yeah, we're going to actually do this live.
So we'll move this all up to my bathroom?
Yeah, we're taking the amps, the mics up, and we're going to end this show with the last event live. Joe's going to moderate. Who can stay in the ice bath longer?
Are you guys going to call a time now? What do you think you're going to accomplish?
I'm going to get my fucking toes in and I'm back out.
I'm just going longer than Dex. That's all I know.
Yeah, I think we got too much ice, which I think is the right amount of ice.
All right, stay tuned. Here's our little segue jingle, and it's about to get fucking real.
This is not going to make for good audio.
Yeah, it's recording now.
I can barely breathe.
You just get your knees in? Like
Oh yeah, you want more?
You want to know how long you've been?
Is it like 5 minutes?
This is the worst.
20 seconds so far.
Oh.
No likey.
You guys are okay.
No likey.
Oh, I love how we just did nuts.
Yeah, okay.
Nuts and feet.
Hold on though.
Oh.
Are you sure you're good filming? Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's more room in the top.
Oh. Okay. So here we are.
Oh, here comes a little more
A
ice.
little more ice. Get her in there, bud. Oh. Yeah, dump her in, bud. Oh, it's so cool. Oh, I didn't think that'd be so much worse. It is so much worse.
Okay. How much time do you guys think you have in you here?
I don't know, about 8 more seconds.
Well, don't like a legitimate cold plunge is like at least 3 minutes, right?
So what are we at, like 250?
129. So you're halfway there. I think you got to go at least twice this.
Actually, I'm settling in. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Then we'll get...
Don't do it! Don't do it!
Joe is spooning cold water.
I just got ladle cold water on you guys.
Give me one. Give me
Yeah.
a ladle. Give me a ladle.
There you go.
Oh! Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Hey,
You want the full effect.
You're looking pretty jacked right now, though. Gotta be honest.
You guys been putting in work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look at those
There you go.
trappies.
Yeah.
Cool off those mussies.
Oh,
Can't
okay.
even get that much water in here. It's mostly ice.
Oh! I hate the ladle. The ladle is the worst part. Yeah, Dex's turn. No! Oh. Oh. So, Dex, what's next for the Rad Dad Redemption podcast?
We got the debate episode coming up.
Yeah, that's going to be real exciting.
What if I just steal it? Right on the chest.
Oh.
I actually won't lie. I'm really settling into this.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I don't know if Drew is not settling in or this is just like a con.
Is this an act?
Yeah.
This is not an act. I find it very uncomfortable.
This is definitely the first time I've ladled water onto other men.
Oh.
Like I watched a lot.
I do love how
This is the name of
we
your
haven't
first
really
name.
talked about it yet, but Drew and I Drew and I are having a bath in my ensuite bathtub together.
Yeah.
We're just
It's a beautiful ensuite. Yeah. I've seen most of your house. This is nice. You guys must enjoy this.
it's very nice.
Do you and the missus take ice baths together often? Oh.
Alicia actually is weird. She won't let me ever bath with her.
Well, now that she's seen this,
It's a solo endeavor for her.
this is my favorite one. Is this?
Okay. Let's get that ladle out of here.
Okay, but it took your mind off it because now you're closing in on 4 minutes.
Wow.
So you've already, when I said you had to double it, you're still going. But I thought that you guys would have to go over 5 to see the other guy quit.
Yeah, I mean, this is cold plunge legs. I think we have to get like shoulders. Do we have to like?
We've just been having cold water get ladled on us.
Could you
Should
guys
we
like,
spoon?
could you scissor so you could get deeper?
I'll do a Rad Dad scissor.
Do I need to hold your mic so you can
I don't know if I can
reposition?
move my legs.
I'm like, how do I move my extremities?
Yeah. Or I take your mics and you said if you put your hands in, it's gonna be bad.
Okay, we'll set down the mics and we'll do a hand dip.
Okay.
Or an arm dip.
We're gonna do arm dip. We're doing arm dip.
Arm dip.
Okay.
Together. Oh yeah.
I don't like that. Okay, here we
We're
are.
holding hands under the ice water.
Oh, the arms are tough. Oh, the hands are tough. Oh. Do you see me stroking your hand right now? This is just.
This is what I said. This
feel your hands? This will speed it up.
I've seen Dex sleep outside in neg 30. I don't feel confident about my chances right now. Oh my god.
I'm hairier than you. I got a sweater on in here.
I've also though, Drew, I've seen you like when you tie lines out ice fishing. I'm like, how do his hands work? So I feel like you actually do have the toughness for that, which is not being evidenced right now.
It's something different about being in an ice tub with your boy than when you're out in nature catching fish. I don't know what it is. There's a difference. There's a difference.
This is the least romantic bath I've ever had.
Okay, little kiss you in. Little kiss you in. Little kiss you in. Mwah. Ah! Texas Rad Dad champion! Oh!
There are towels right behind you.
Oh my god.
Watch your step. Don't knock over the ladle.
Oh. Congratulations, buddy. I love you.
Dex is still in the tub.
Yeah, he's gonna stay there for a while.
I don't know if I can move.
Yeah, I gotta give it to him. I'm getting in a warm shower in my friend's ensuite here. Hey guys, it's been real. Listen to the Rad Dad Redemption What is it? Listen to the Rad Dad Redemption podcast. Stay tuned for more hilarity. Oh my god.
Oh, it wasn't recording.
Fuck off.